And we are live. We're back with another episode of the Freedom Series, live here with Vanessa Fiducia and Edie May from Profit First Accounting, who are going to rock your world with new and different ways to better manage cash flow in your books. Because let's be honest, without good financials, you're building a business with no backbone. How are you guys doing today?
Yeah, really awesome. Good.
So stoked to have you here.
Thank you.
So end of financial year and we're rock and rolling.
Yep, last day of the financial year.
Yeah, and if you're joining us live on any of the platforms or on a replay, please hit below any comments you've got. My team is there to share the questions with us, so we can answer them live here on this session or afterwards in the comments once we finish up. Make sure you like that button and also share it around, because this message needs to be heard by more business owners. What is Profit First Accounting?
Legendary.
Yes, more specific.
It's the recipe that you need so that you can actually put yourself in a profitable situation and recognize where the holes are.
Yeah. How does it work?
Money, cash. Did you have the cash? Did you spend the cash?
Yeah.
It's all about cash.
Yeah, it's a lot different to what your standardized accountant would use. It's not focusing on what's happened in the past. We focus on what we can do to help your future.
Yeah. So Mike McAllowitz, amazing dude, created the Profit First methodology. And it was funny, we've been using a similar thing for many years within the Game Changers. Like early on, early businesses, what I realized very fast is that I was awesome at making money. And I was also I was even more awesome at spending it. And so what that meant is that I was constantly in this false sense of somewhat security. I'm like, I just got to go make more sales and I can just spend more money. And it wasn't until you get to the end of the financial year and it's like, how do we not make money this year? How have I now got such a big tax bill and GST that I have to pay? Where's the money gone? And then even further on my business journey, it's like, I'm making money now, but I haven't got any money. How does that work? How does this show me that I'm making money, yet where's that money? I've still got to find money for tax.
Yeah.
It's actually a common problem where people actually think the accountant's given them a report and it says they've made money, but there's nothing in the bank and they can't actually put their finger quickly on where it went, but it always means they've spent it. They just don't know where.
Yeah, they've put no profit away and they've put away no money for tax. So it's a double-edged sword where you've got no money to pay the big tax bill that you're now faced with, and you also don't know where this big profit figure is.
Yeah. It's finances is something that eludes many business owners, let's be honest. And, even if they can look at and read, in quote, a P&L statement, it doesn't necessarily give them the accurate indicators to drive profitable growth. Because in many ways as well, when we're looking at a P&L or we're looking at a balance sheet, we're looking at what we call a lag measure. It's after the fact and we can't influence it. We can't influence a month-end report or a year-end report. It's too late in the mix. And we actually speak about that quite a bit when we talk about KPIs in my book, The Path to Freedom. Is the difference between lead measures and lag measures, and understanding that if we're looking at our P&Ls monthly and making decisions to grow a business that way, we've got 12 options a year to grow a business.
Yeah.
Right? Those that look at their P&Ls once a year, they've got once a year. Whereas if you have the right KPIs that are leading measures that are driving profitable growth, you've got potentially 52 opportunities a year if you're measuring them weekly.
Yeah, we love weekly. And afterwards, it's too late. If you don't actually look at it, the system changed. And when I was first doing this, you would actually not need to do your stuff monthly or quarterly because the BAS we didn't have ABNs. I'm that old. I'll just quote Nicola on that. And we didn't actually look at the reporting for that year until nearly the end of the very next year. And so you not only didn't have that opportunity, it was long gone.
Yeah.
There was no influence to be made.
Yeah. And out of curiosity, for the viewers and listeners today, how often, number one, do you have KPIs in place? I'd love a yes or no answer to get a bit of a tally here, and there's no judgment either way. And number two, how often do you, if you do have them in place, how often do you view your KPIs and make decisions on profitable growth? Now, coming back to Mike McAllister's Profit First. So we had a similar thing in place, and the system is as simple as this. If this is the first time you've come across this, is essentially we had multiple bank accounts. Back then we had 3. We had an expense account, we had a profit account, and we had a tax GST account. And so essentially money would come in and I would make an allocation into my profit and GST account and into my profit account and my GST and tax account, which meant that whenever I got those GST bills and tax bills, I would have the money to pay for them. A lot of business owners, I feel, fall into the trap believing that the money in their bank is theirs to spend until they get slapped with a tax and GST bill. Now, this is more common than what most people think, right? And, you know, then there's this other layer of complication is, are we measuring accruals? Meaning, are our numbers based on what we're invoicing, or are they based on cash in what we're collecting? And there can be a huge discrepancy as well. You might be invoicing if you're trading for a job up front, you're getting paid overstated. So all of a sudden this month you've done huge revenue, but you haven't actualized the cash flow yet. So you're paying GST and tax on the revenue that you haven't yet had come through.
Exactly.
You should reflect on it. Now, how have you seen that Mike McAllister's work in the Profit First methodology, which you guys are now certified in your company specializes in, how does that differ to normal tax accounting and, you know, P&L accounting?
I can answer that one. I've been a compliance accountant for 35 years, and the biggest problem we've always had is the fact that we're recording after the event. Whereas when you do it with Mike's methodology, everything's purpose driven. You actually make a profit on purpose. You actually put money in the bank on purpose because you know you've got to pay tax. And we don't have that foolish notion of let's not make any money because we don't want to pay tax in dollars. We actually want to pay $3 in tax for every $10 we get. And we want that extra $7 in our pockets to do with what we want. That's the freedom. And if you do it by all of that conventional stuff that that was governed within the industry before, you're literally cutting off you're putting your own glass ceiling in place because you don't want to pay tax.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny that's the mindset. It's like, oh, I don't want to pay tax. How can I avoid paying tax? I'll do cashies and all the rest of it. But if your plan is longer term to build an amazing business that's sustainable and profitable, tax, fortunately or not, is part of the fee, the ticket we have to pay to have the right to be an entrepreneur and a business owner in Australia, in most places in the world, tax and GST. If we talk, what I love the most when we found, you know, for a long time as a company, we avoided having the financial conversation with clients. We focused on growing all areas of their business outside of finances. But yet we were faced with time and time again that we were hitting limitations of what we could do for them because their accountants or bookkeepers were doing an average job. And unfortunately, the level of results that accountants can produce, or the level and standard that they are, I don't think they're as good as what they should be. And unfortunately, a lot of business owners are relying too heavily on accountants to help them grow their business.
Yeah.
Yet most accountants are focused on the past. They're focused on mitigating tax. They're not financial planners that are focusing on your future. Where I find the Profit First methodology was an absolute game changer is the research that went into understanding percentage allocations in those accounts. So rather than having 3, you have 5, 6, even 7 accounts, depending on how far through the methodology you go. But there's recommended percentages you should put away for owner's pay, for your profitability, for your tax and GST, for your operational expenses, depending on the actual revenue size of your current business.
Yes.
So it gives you a benchmark of the performance your business should be seeing. And if you don't, it starts to raise questions around, well, what do I have to do to go from spending 60% on operation expenses to 40% based on where my revenue threshold is? Can you elaborate a bit more on that, Vanessa?
It's been really mind-blowing actually teaching business owners about the difference between turnover and real revenue, because obviously the percentages are based on your real revenue, not your turnover. And a lot of business owners don't understand the difference between the two. They think, you know, oh yeah, I go in and I do my percentages and my turnover is 1.5 million, but they don't realize that their cost of sales or their contractors are incorporated in that. So if they've got, you know, 500,000 a year in contractors and materials, their actual real revenue is only $1 million. So they don't have a $1.5 million business. They've got a $1 million business. Yeah. And that's what they need to base their percentages off, not the 1.5 million, because we need to take out those cost of goods first.
Yeah.
So that's been really hard. And if they're running a P&L and their P&L is not set up right, then they're not going to get correct data.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point. There's some amazing questions coming in from my team and from you guys watching, and we'll get to those just in a second. I want to finish this conversation off. I had a consult with a guy the other day. They're doing like $400,000 a month, decent sized business. They're doing pretty well. And he wanted to hire me specifically to work with him, which I don't usually do, but I said, look, I'll have a conversation, see where it goes. The first thing I identified is that what they're tracking is not accurate. And I said, straight away, we could 2x your business just by changing what you're tracking and me teaching you how what you're tracking can influence the growth, number one. Number two, I said, give me a look into your Xero file. I noticed that there wasn't congruency between cost of sales and sales line items. Mm-hmm. So there's no way to drill down on these numbers to work out what products and services were profitable and what weren't, and what costs were associated, allocated to them. And this is something that you guys, I know you see it time and time again, and I certainly see it time and time again, people that just haven't got their books set up right because they rely on their accountants or bookkeepers to do it. But the reality is it's not really their job. Like, you're the one at the helm of your business, driving your business forwards. You need to dictate to them what needs to be set up. Doesn't mean you need to have a degree in accountancy or study bookkeeping, but you do need to know what you're tracking, because that gives you the power to make decisions moving forward. And that's where I think, if you haven't already, like, buy Mike's book, Profit First, implement it, see you girls as well if they want to go further or have someone else do it for them. Because honestly, every single client that we've seen go through this process within 3 months has got more money in the bank than they've ever had in their whole entire business life through this. Even if you're doing well right now in terms of cash flow and profitability, you'll do better.
Yes.
If you're doing shit right now, like, it will be a freaking game changer, because it doesn't just change the strategy and structure, it actually changes the psychology of the way that you deal with money. And that's where I believe the bigger block is. Not the strategy, is actually the psychology of our behavior and relationship and habits with money.
It puts purpose to every dollar that you're bringing in, but it also makes you realize that for each dollar, you're actually putting in a lot of effort to get that dollar. And if it doesn't get allocated into the right buckets in preparation for the costs you know you've incurred, then you just get blammed at the end where you've got nothing left.
It's like, oh, that's just $1,000. Like, that's not even half a sale for us. And it's like, hang on, that's $1,000. You might make a sale for 2,000, but what's your net profitability? That's after you've paid everything to deliver on that $2,000 service and product, and you've taken out your overheads, what's your net profit? It might be 15, 20%. So you might be making $300 on that or $500 on that. That means you now have to make 2 sales to pay for that $1,000 thing.
Yeah.
And this is just a gap and a lack of thinking for many business owners when it comes to financial management.
And the other thing about the purposeful accounts, if you've just got a bucket of money, you see it and you think, oh, I can buy whatever it is, this luxury item that's currently on my mind, that's not going to actually drive your sales forward. It's not going to drive your efficiencies forward. But because the money's there, you think, oh, yes, I can afford that. But you can't. And it's because you don't know that you are actually doing something of a purposeful nature. You need to direct every dollar and spend it in the right way.
Yeah. Absolutely. But did you have something to add? And then I want to jump into these questions that are coming through. And if you are watching right now, please make sure that you hit the like. We'd love if you want to share it. I think that more business owners need to have the right education around growing profitable, purpose-driven businesses.
Yeah, we have like 80% of our businesses that come in to get us to help them with, setting up their accounts correctly and implementing Profit First. They always say, oh yeah, I want to hand it over. I want you to do it. But our favourite saying to them is, it's not our money, Ralph. You still need to understand it, because if you don't understand it, you won't appreciate it, and your dealings with money won't change. And the psychology behind the way you handle your money isn't going to change if you also don't understand what's going on. And
that's the sign of a phenomenal advisor or a coach or a mentor, is someone that doesn't just do it for you. It's like that old saying, like, I can give you a fish and feed you for a night.
I was just about to say that.
I can teach you to fish and feed you for life. You guys are still doing the implementation, but you're teaching your clients to have enough knowledge to question what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right. To understand that, because ultimately, again, they're the one at the helm of their business. And this is where I see so many business owners, they delegate through abdication.
Yeah.
Right. They delegate. It's like, oh, I've hired a bookkeeper. They know numbers. They're better than me. Go and do it. That's going to cost you a shitload of money. I'm telling you right now. And, part of what I go through and teach here is how to build a team, how to build the systems, how to delegate, how to learn what you need to learn and ask the right questions so that you know enough to keep everyone honest and in alignment, but you're still in control of the destiny of your business. You just bring the best people around you to help you grow and scale that.
That's some of the first things we go through, like teaching business owners how to actually read and understand their reports, because if they can't read and understand it and question what we're doing, then how do you know, like, if they're ever to leave us, we want them to be able to do the same as they move on.
Yeah. Love that.
And the other thing Vanessa does when she very first gets onto a Zoom Zoom call with a client, she'll actually have a look at their books and show them what their bookkeeper should be doing.
Yeah.
And point out, this is fundamental and it's really basic. But if it's not being done, you're not getting the right figures.
Yeah. And look, this is no disrespect to any accountants or bookkeepers watching this. There is plenty of good ones out there, and times are changing. Like, times are changing, businesses are becoming more demanding, and it's time to kind of get with the program, and the profit first methodology will honestly change your business life.
We work with a number of amazing bookkeepers and accountants out there as well, and we just do the overlay of teaching them how to do it, because some clients love their current bookkeepers and accountants, and they just want us to teach them how to implement profit first for them. And it's a great achievement to be able to teach other bookkeepers or other
accountants, and bring them on board and make them actually see the light.
Well, because ultimately you guys are very similar to us. Is like you're helping to serve the purpose of eradicating entrepreneurial poverty. It doesn't matter whether they're necessarily clients of yours or not. If you've got a way of doing that, you can sleep better at night time knowing you've made a difference. So I want to jump into a couple of questions. If you're watching, let us know that you're loving it by hitting the love or the like button and put your questions below. My team will feed them through. So Phil from Melbourne, if I want to save on costs, what are examples of systems or processes that can be delegated or automated? Who can I trust to help me on that?
Well, one thing that I've done recently is I hired a VA.
Yes, you did.
It was one of the most amazing things that I've ever done. I don't know how I've lived without her. And she now does all of my email management. She writes SOPs. So my staff or our team here at Profit First are creating a whole bunch of standard operating procedures within our business. And they will send all of our Looms and Zoom meetings that we record through to CES. And then she'll write a procedure on it. So instead of us sitting in the office spending hours writing procedures, we've now got a team member doing that for us.
Yeah.
And so it's obviously saving us time and money, not needing to do that in-house.
Yeah. I love that. And if you're curious to find out more about VAs or virtual assistants, I'll have Rafi put a link to Alchemy Outsourcing, who we highly recommend to provide VAs for businesses as well. It's something that we're heavily involved in, obviously help our clients a lot to find and train the right VAs. Now, you mentioned something interesting there, is that they create the SOPs for you. And that is something that we teach heavily in the Game Changers program and also through the book, is how you can have your whole entire business systemized without you having to be the one that does that as the business owner. And that is a game changer. So what you're saying is hiring a VA obviously reduces staff costs.
Yeah.
But they are phenomenally skilled as well. Oh my God.
I'll just say that during this call, I've had this delivered on my desk. Edie and I haven't looked over it, but it's a full SOP.
Yeah.
That's something one of our team have just brought it into us. So we don't do any of that sort of stuff anymore, which is great for us. Something that we always took on board ourselves, we no longer do.
Yeah.
One of the things I wanted to add, Barry, is the app stack. I know that we've learned about this within some of your teachings with some of the wonderful experts you've brought in, but the app stack for us meant that we could actually show our clients some of the things that we can actually, that we've adapted in our business that would streamline the process for them as well, such as, I'll just throw you some names, but they're not all suitable for everybody, but Practice Ignition for us actually does our letters of engagement, and they come out looking really pretty with a brochure, but it also does all of the monetary management. So the debt collection side of it is all managed by this particular app. There are others like Zapier and Zoho Forms and all of these different things that you can do. And Vanessa mentioned Loom, which is just a recording device so that you can actually do your whatever you're doing anyway and record it. And then, like she said, hand it to Cess, and Cess will turn it into a process. Yeah. So many different bits of technology that you can put in play to get the end result of cutting your costs and bringing your professionalism up.
Yeah. There's a couple of things too, Phil, and for everyone else watching, I'll say as well. There's actually a couple of questions of what you've asked. First of all is like saving on costs. I'd say for what purpose? Sometimes business owners can get far too focused on saving costs as they stop looking at growth. Now, there's only so far that you can shrink down your, there's only so much you can negotiate cost of sales in terms of product and labor hire. And there's only so much you can reduce expenses before you just have to generate more revenue. So that's one question is like, maybe how can I generate more revenue or more profitability out of my current model? And I see time and time again, business owners that are undervaluing themselves and not charging what they're worth because they think that they'll lose business. And that's something that we often advise with many clients that start up, is that they're too cheap. It doesn't matter what the competition's doing. If you're better at it, or you've got a tighter niche, you're an expert, you can provide better service or quality, like you should charge for that, something that you feel, is equivalent to the value and service you're offering, but yet many are undercharging. The second one is around systems and processes, delegate, automate. Well, hire a decent VA and teach them the system writing systems, which is one thing that we give away as part of the book. Once you've taught them the system writing systems, they know how to systemize your business. Then it's a matter of just pointing them in the direction of getting something done, showing them through it once, and they have the process of how to go and actually create the SOPs for that, implement them. Like Vanessa said, she just sat there and someone rocked up and said, oh, hey, here's a system. And that would be written in the same way that all the other systems are written, because you've taught them how to do that.
Yeah. So
that's not just a VA or virtual assistant. Any staff member should be going through the process. And the way that you trust them is, well, you allow them to do it and realize that they're going to make mistakes. They're going to screw things up. But that's part of us letting go of the constraints and control of growing your business. And this is where, coming back to profit first for a second, the psychology is more important to mastering growing a business, right? Every area of life than the strategy. The strategy and the tactics come after psychology and after mastering your inner game. I want to jump on. Luke asked a question as well. Luke from Adelaide, welcome, mate. I'm not saying my own business is any special, but feels good to know my problems aren't unique. And this is something that most our clients say when they come in, because we do a great job at curating communities. They're like, far out, like it feels nice to know I'm not alone. We have this thing where we feel we're alone and isolate our problems. And I had that for so many years, which is why we created Opulence and the way that we did, because I was like, hang on, I'm actually not the only one with these problems. Everyone's got them, but no one's talking about them.
Yeah.
What are the common issues business owners consult with you on? Let's do this both, because you guys obviously speak to a lot of business owners. So maybe you can mention one or two things, and I can certainly mention a bunch of stuff that they come to us on as well. But let's start with you guys. Like, what are a couple of things, maybe one from you, Vanessa, and one from you, Edie, that they come to you guys for?
Yeah, we both take the initial kickoff calls, but mostly with different clients. And things that I find is the owner's working a lot of hours and getting paid less than their most junior employee, which is really hard for any business owner.
But they think they have to. They think that that's what it takes to grow a business.
That's right. And I can tell you firsthand, been there myself and done that. When I first started the Game Changers, paying myself $250 a week, which is ludicrous, and I don't know why I would ever do that. But it is not the way to grow a business. You
do that for a long time. And how many hours a week were you working for that $250 paycheck?
Like 70.
We laugh about it now, but
yeah,
but I know
about it now. I was not laughing at the time.
No.
I was certainly rocking under my desk at the time.
Yeah.
So
sleeping sometimes too, I heard.
Yeah. That would be the number one biggest issue. And the fact that they can't read reports, and when they get a report, they don't know what to do with it. They don't understand what's being put in front of them, and they sign it without actually knowing the full implications of what they're signing.
Because it's delegation or abdication. It's like, it's a problem. It hurts. Just fix it for me. I don't care what it is. Just, you can fix it.
That's right.
And part of fixing it is like, no, first we need to help you to understand what the problem actually is, where we're going, so that you're on the journey with us to get there. Yeah. Awesome. Edie.
For me, abdication of responsibility has been a big one, because traditionally you've always just gone to your accountant and said, this is what I've spent, fix it. You give me what I need to do next. And I've spent a lot of time with my clients actually going through why they spend what they do. And it nearly always comes back to, let's reduce tax. Like I'm a big fan of a $10,000 car does the same thing as a $70,000 car. Why did you get yourself into so much debt and force yourself to work so many hours to pay back a loan for something you couldn't afford? You bought it because someone, probably the vet or the guy that you work with in the storeroom, told you should get a car because you can write it off on your tax.
Yeah, so who's 10 years ahead of you in their business journey, probably makes a shit ton more profit than what you do, and didn't start there. They didn't start buying a $70,000 car.
Yeah. Most of them don't. They take their advice from people that don't know. They're just wage earners. And also the whole let's give you an incentive for writing off, 150% of what you're buying to give a boost to the economy. So many of our young apprentices have gone and bought a vehicle and a tool trailer and kitted it all out and said, okay, so this is what I spent. That's what I'm going to get back, right? And it's like, that's not how this works. And my first instruction to my clients is don't do anything without asking me. And I know if I'm winning because they'll ring me and say, I've got this opportunity, should I buy it? And I say, well, let's go through the stages.
Yeah, because you're no longer just performing the role of the accountant, which, as I said, like typically looking backwards to mitigate or minimize tax. You're like looking back, looking at the current situation, looking forward towards their goals and their dreams, where they want to go, and then helping them understand the decision-making criteria around that. Yeah, nicely put. For us, I'm going to split a bunch out, not go too deep on it because there's so many. So a few things. Number one, business owners coming that they've lost control of their business. They've started this business. They're an accidental business owner, and the thing's just taken off, and they find themselves not enjoying it, not fulfilled, working ridiculous hours, maybe not paying themselves enough, even though they've got more work than they can poke a stick at. They've lost control. There's the other side of that too, business owners that are just struggling. They've hit a glass ceiling, and it's like no matter what they do, they just can't seem to grow past a certain level. They can't get staff to do what they want them to do. They can't get the right type of clients. They can't get clients to pay on time. They've got cash flow issues. They don't understand how to market themselves. Like there is so many things we get from clients. A lot though is that they come in because they believe that they want to set up some more systems and processes to get time back. But that's often never the issue. And this is what we see time and time again, is that most clients that come to us have a problem, but the problem is actually a symptom to an underlying problem. And we very quickly help them to identify what the underlying problem is and teach them a methodology so that they can do that moving forwards. We teach them how to assess their business at every step of the way to understand where they should be working on, what they should be focusing on. And I think more than anything, we provide them with a community and support of other kick-ass business owners who are wanting to change the game as well, wanting to make a difference, and can align to help them grow, not as business owners, but as human beings. You know, one thing we hear time and time again is like, yes, I've made more money, and yes, I've got more time, but holy shit, every area of my life has improved through working with you guys. I never thought that was possible. And that's because we address the inner game, and everything else stems from that. Financial reward, fulfillment, more time, like it all comes from addressing, first and foremost, the human being who's got this vision, who started this business.
The most stunning thing I can tell you about the adventure we had was when Vanessa was rocking under the desk doing 80 hours and earning pittance. We had a chat with your Mike McNeish, and he said, so what do you want? And she said, well, what I really want is I don't want to be working more than 60 hours, and I'd really like $500 a week. And he said, are you serious? He said, what do you really want? And she said, don't be ridiculous. I want mojitos while I'm sitting on the beach. And he said, well, now we're getting to it. Now we're getting to what you actually really want. And the vehicle is the business. And what we have to do is work out how to make that work so you can get what you really want.
It's irrelevant. Like, it's an important point for anyone watching. It's irrelevant what your dreams are. Like, you know, if your dreams are to make a certain amount of money because that's going to afford you the lifestyle that you desire and the car that you want, the holidays and the travel, like, great, that's fine. If your dreams is to get a business to a position where you can, you know, change lives through contributions and charities, fantastic. If it's that you want to get your business to a level where you can pay yourself a comfortable $200,000 a year and work 30 hours a week to drop your kids off school, pick them up, doesn't matter. Like, it's fine. What's most important is making sure that your dreams and your goals are your dreams and your goals. And Mark Manson speaks about that in his book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, is that most people inherently take on board goals and dreams that aren't their own.
That's right.
To fit in and belong to society. And until we first get to the point of what your goals and dreams are, we can't align you to that, and you'll never get there because you're chasing an illusion. You're chasing a false version of you. It's like, what do you actually want, and why do you actually want it? And sometimes it takes us a few months, even a year or so, to find out what that is. But once you do, your business, your life can grow far faster and far beyond because you're fulfilled by something that's aligned with you.
And it took me a while working on my inner game to realize that I could step out of the norm of what society expected to be a business owner and working all of these hours. And I didn't have to do that. Why do I have to do that? And obviously working on the business, and the biggest thing I focus on now is progress over perfection, which is something that I was always a perfectionist, like has to be perfect before anyone can see it. It's not the case. Get something on paper, get it done. Work on perfection after, roll out a couple of different scenarios.
Yeah, I love that. We just had a comment coming from Sydney from Perth. Hey, Sydney, how you doing? I just took a look at Profit First page in Facebook. They have 33 reviews that gave them, drum roll, 4.9 out of 5 stars. Well done. But do they even spend time discussing this, as it really eats up time monitoring what they say about you? I've got an opinion on this. Curious to know from you guys, like, do you spend any time discussing this and monitoring it, or really worry about that?
No, not particularly. We have, obviously, if someone messages us through our Facebook page, our VA does all of our Facebook management now. So she'll let us know if someone wants to book an appointment, and she'll book them in. But other than that, we don't really look at it much.
Why?
Because it doesn't change what we do.
Yeah.
It's not where the feel is. We want to help people do what they do. We don't want to just sit there and get, oh, look, we got 5 stars. Hey, we got 5 stars today. Yeah. 3, 2, 1.
This is not to say this is not important, Cindy, and for anyone else. It's just important to understand what stage of growth your business is at and where you need to be focusing. Like, at any given time in business, we could be focusing on 1,000 things. Like, ideas are something entrepreneurs never run out of. And there's always many fires that could be burning to put out, many priorities, many opportunities, many things coming through the door. But you need to understand, like, what is the 1 to 3 things that are going to move my business and my life towards where I want to go. So we need to say, where are we at? Like, let's do an honest assessment of where we're at, where the business is at, where is it we want to go, why do we want to go there, and create a path to get there. Now, monitoring reviews and commenting and using that as a marketing strategy might be an important point for where you're at. For you girls, it's not, because I know that you get an abundance of clients. Like, clients and finding clients is one thing you've never worried about since you've switched to this model, and you've really doubled down. That's number 1. Number 2, what makes that work is, as you so beautifully said, your dedication and commitment to serving your clients. That's the most important thing. And you don't need to wait for a lag measure, being a review on Facebook, to know whether you've served your clients, because you're taking leading measures every day and every week to know that you are serving your clients.
Yeah.
Right? That is probably a little bit too late when it turns up on Facebook, like your 1 star. It's like, how do we miss that? That shows me that you have good systems and processes in place, and you've got a good pulse. You got your finger in your pulse of where your clients are at. So I guess just to kind of clarify, it's not to say that's not important and you shouldn't do that. It is important and you should do that. It's just a matter of, when do you do that?
I think when we've got the mojitos on the beach.
We have other systems as well in place, just to make sure that our clients are happy and that we haven't left anything out. We just send a follow-up email after every single consult. Yeah. Just to make sure. So we're very in touch with all of our clients. So we're very, very rarely checking social media for that sort of feedback.
And in this version of Profit First Accounting, we're quite new, but we've actually been in business a long time, and I've still got clients with me that I got 30 years ago. So we don't just have...
Now you're showing your age, Edie.
The flash, I didn't tell you how much it really was. But the flash in... I was before ABNs, all right? The flash in the pan clients, like, sometimes you do get clients that don't like to stay with you, because I used to take that personally, but I found that people have got restless feet. There's probably 20% of a client base for anybody that won't stay because they're restless. It's not you. But I still have many of my long-term clients.
Yeah, I love that. And what I'm hearing is just the commitment that you guys have to serve your clients. And I guess I want to speak into that a little bit. You know, like, any of you that have been watching a few of the live streams, like, you'll notice there is a common theme amongst the guests that we have on, and that is the commitment to serving humanity and making things better. You know, the world's been through some pretty tough times over the last 6 months, and I don't feel that we're at the end of what's to come for the rest of this year at all. And for me, I guess writing a book wasn't for my own gain, and it certainly wasn't something that was comfortable to me with my learning difficulties, but it was something that I felt was important, because now more than ever, business owners need to have the steps and the psychology to build profitable businesses that can work without them. Because until you get to that stage, you have a job. And the issue with that is that going through this pandemic, if you didn't have a business that had good cash flow or good clientele, a number of things, like, a lot of businesses went out, like, and fell over, a lot of businesses. And that hurts my heart. That hurts my heart. We're never going to be able to serve all of them at the Game Changers, nor do we want to. Like, we're very specific on who we serve. But in saying that, like, we wanted a way to help much more, like, many more business owners to get the right advice. And it's been 18 years I've been in business, and almost 10 that I've been coaching clients on doing this sort of stuff. And so I do ask, like, if you're watching this, like, please start a watch party, tag someone in, sign up with the link my team's put in to get your copy of the book or to recommend it to a friend, and to stay in touch with the live series, because, you know, like Helen Keller once said, alone we can do so little and together we can do so much. And, you know, I'm asking for your help to help us get this book out there to help more business owners to succeed, because I believe that business owners are the future of the country and of the world, not the politicians. You know, I think that a lot of what's happening, there's political aspects that are being ran, and that's a conversation for another day and a very hot topic, I know, for many. But I honestly do believe that entrepreneurs, we have the ability to make decisions that change people's lives in a powerful way. And I think that if you've watched a few of these series, you'll see there's a common theme in that as well. So please help us, like, start a watch party, share it, and put all your comments and questions in as well, so we can get back and answer you guys too. What do you think, in your time in business and everything you've been through, like, what do you think has been one core thing that you've learned that has really made a significant difference? Like, I know there's been many, but what's something that you see as like a pivotal point for each of your journeys individually in getting to where you are right now, which is, you know, you guys have got a phenomenal business. You do an amazing job of serving your clients. You are making a big difference. Vanessa, I know you're working a lot less than what you were now, paying yourself a lot more. Like, there's been a huge shift in the last sort of 18 months or so, and Edie, for you too. What's been one core thing, Vanessa, maybe for you first, that you feel has made a big difference in your business journey?
We had our team meeting on Monday, and we always, as we've learnt through you guys, we go through our wins, our lessons, and the shit bits in our meetings every Monday morning with the whole team. And my big win last week was the fact that I only worked 31 hours. So half, even less than half than what I was working before. And I learned to delegate. My team rocked it last week. And they barely called on me unless they needed me really urgently. And I just felt so proud. And I now know that I'm not my business, and my business is not me. We're two standalone things. And now I feel like the business can grow so much more that I've detached myself from it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because your identity and your sense of worth and belonging, and conversation for another day, deeper conversation down a rabbit hole, your belonging, your worthiness, your sense of identity is no longer entangled in your business.
Yeah.
All right. Most business owners find a sense of belonging and worth through growing their business, which is amazing. And it can screw you up, because it's what stops you from exiting. It's what stops you from allowing the business to keep growing, because it hits a limitation that you've placed on it through being too attached, through being too involved. And Vanessa, like, amazing to hear that you've broken through that as well. Thank you for sharing. Edie.
So there's really a twofold part to this. It's progress over perfection, because we've always wanted to put it out there as it should be. But literally, it doesn't matter. Actually, even Mike says this: don't get tied up in knots getting your figures right. You just need a broad brush approach to start with, so that you've got a start point, and you don't have to match it to the dollar. You don't have to match it to the cent, and accountants can't do that. And bookkeepers also really, really struggle with that concept. Just stick whatever doesn't work into operating expenses and move on. But for me, it's getting out of my own way. Literally, I have a dynamo here. She's doing amazing work, and I have been in my own way saying...
I heard she's not even there anymore.
Pardon?
I heard she's not even there anymore. She doesn't show up to work anymore.
Sometimes that might be true, but I'd like to be in that position myself. But the point is, I want to actually take that lesson on and say, stop trying to do what she can do far better than I can. Do what I'm good at, and do what's business building and good for the business and good for the clients, and get out of my own way.
Yeah. Love that. Love that. So look, thank you so much for everyone who's been watching and joining in. I trust that you've got huge value. If you joined in late, I highly recommend going back and watching the start and watching some of the other amazing live streams we had as well. How can they connect with you? They're like, oh, maybe I'll just get you to have a look at what my current bookkeeper accountant's doing, or hey, I'd love to learn more about this whole profit first approach to grow my business. How can they connect with you guys to find out more?
We offer a 30-minute complimentary Profit First health check, and you can book that through our website at www.profitfirstaccounting.com.au.
Cool. And Rafi will bang that link in the comments as well. Thank you so much. And yeah, if you want to stay up to date with the live streams, the guests we've got coming, and be one of the first to get a copy of my new book, The Path to Freedom, we'll put a link in there too for the live stream series, and let you know when we launch it, along with all the bonuses we're going to give to get you guys up and running with building a business of your dreams. Thank you so much, ladies, for your time. It's always a pleasure hanging out and chatting, and yeah, really appreciate what you shared with everyone out there.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Game Changers podcast. There's a couple of things I'd love you to do to help us and help yourself to spread the message further. Make sure that you like the Game Changers on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn. Please subscribe by clicking the link below to ensure that you keep up to date with the weekly episodes we share here at the Game Changers podcast with amazing entrepreneurs and business owners around the world. And of course, like if you're in a position where you may be overwhelmed with business or looking for a way to grow faster, more effectively, and you realize that the key to success is being surrounded by amazing people who have been there and done that before, I'd like to invite you to apply to have a game plan session one-on-one with one of my team here at the Game Changers. There's no cost if you get through. All that we ask is that you are doing a minimum of $250,000 per year to really be able to utilize the strategies and the tactics and the mindset shifts that we share with you, that you're coachable, that you're a decent person, and you're willing to take on board some advice. If not, that's totally cool. But I know for me, I wouldn't be where I am right now without the support of so many mentors and coaches and resources along the way. And I'd like to pay that forward and give back to you the opportunity to work with us one-on-one for free to put together a customized game plan. And the reason we're doing this is a couple of things. Number one is that sometimes it's just the smallest thing that can make the biggest difference. And I think that entrepreneurs and business owners have the opportunity to change the world. And if we can maybe help you to make the smallest shift to change your life and your world, you're changing ours in return. The second thing is that we are always looking for amazing clients to work with and to welcome into and invite into the Game Changers community. And so if at the end of the call, you do feel that there's a huge amount of value there, that we feel that there's a great values fit there, we can have a conversation about working together. But this game plan call, there's absolutely no obligations to work with whatsoever. Allow us to help you with the years and years and years of knowledge that we have in growing and scaling great companies. And I think that business owners are the future of the world. If there's a way that we can help you to create a better business, more profit, more fulfillment, more fun, I would love the opportunity to do that now. So click the link below, book your game plan session, make sure you follow us on social, and start to date with the latest episodes of the Game Changers podcast. My name's Barry William McGinnity. Thank you so much for your support, and look forward to seeing the next one. Bye for now.